I think where people
King Ghidorah, thank you for the 5 gifted. Rian Va, thank you for another 5 gifted.
should be protected is through assets and that
contract.
Yes,
and, yeah.
I think that all makes sense to me. All that stuff in terms of like alimony and child support and all those things make sense to me. And the idea that the community reinforces it, which would then become the government reinforcing all that stuff, that all makes sense to me. I understand it. But why do you care if 2 gay guys want to get married?
So from a religious point of view?
Sure, let's go from religious first.
So why don't we do a secular point of view first? So
Okay.
the idea is not that I care deeply whether 2 gay guys want to get married to each other. The idea is that do I prefer traditional marriage to same-sex marriage?
Okay, well, let me phrase it this way. What do you think a gay guy is? Do you think they're making a choice, or do you think that this is how they were born?
So the religious point of view on this, and I think this is actually just the general conservative point of view on human action generally, is I don't know, meaning that for the vast majority of people, I would assume that they have a biological drive to engage in that behavior. But the traditional sort of will point of view is that biological drive does not necessarily match up to the activity you ought to engage in. Right? Men, for example, have a biological drive to impregnate many women. That's not something religion is cool with either. Right? So the idea is that
Right, but religion is cool with a man being with one woman and impregnating her, but you're not cool with a man being with a man.
So I can give you the religious explanation,
Yeah,
and I can give you the
please.
secular explanation.
Okay.
So the religious explanation is that there is something different about a woman than there is about a man, and a man is made better through his union with a woman, and that if you pervert the sex drive to pursue mere pleasure instead of a lasting relationship upon which the basis of society is built, then you are foregoing the proper use of your sex drive.
Right, but if you
essentially.
wanted to step in and argue against that, you would say that just because someone can't get pregnant doesn't mean that they don't have a loving relationship that contributes to society.
Well, that's true, but it is also foregoing the more productive relationship of being able to bear and rear children, and
But
also
what about women that are
recognizing that the sexes are not
barren or-
different, right? And recognizing also the sexes are not the same.
Right.
So being with a man is in a relationship.
He's trying to like so desperately bring it back to transphobia, which is a conversation point that Joe Rogan is also comfortable having. You know what I mean? Like he's trying to fucking hit it from an angle that like, it's like, well, the sexes are different and they want to deny it. It's like, no one wants to deny that. It has nothing to do with same-sex couples though. Like it's completely irrelevant in this conversation. Okay? The only reason why Ben wants to bring up the sex conversation to be like, oh, sex, and like, of course, equate sex to gender is so that he can get someone who is otherwise like transphobic on board, which is just completely irrelevant.
Relationship different than being with a woman, I would assume. I mean, I assume that's why gay guys are gay. If it weren't, then I
Yeah.
assume that they would be fine with being with a woman.
Right.
So that relationship from a religious perspective is more valuable because women have different qualities than men. You round off each other's harsh edges. It changes you. I mean, being married changes a man in a different way that being married to a member of the same sex would.
Right, but I don't want people to have to do it. But if you're,
I'm not forcing anybody, right?
But I want them to have the option. And if you're a gay person, and to say
talking
you don't
legally?
know. No, I mean, of course,
Because legally we agree, right?
Yeah, legally.
And I keep making this distinction because
Yes.
whenever I talk about my moral perspective on things, then people immediately.
Oh, so you legally do agree on gay marriage. Got it. Okay. I sure hope his opinion doesn't change. I sure hope Ben's opinion on gay marriage doesn't change. Yeah, back when court wasn't 6'3", motherfucker, that's what changed.
Immediately assume that I'm a theocratic fascist, and I just
Right.
want to keep underscoring,
Yes,
like my
thank you.
personal.
Oh, he's not a theocratic fascist. What changed? Well, he is one now. Oh man, that's crazy. It's almost like my man just changes. His opinion has always been the same. He's just changing his perspective with respect to who, with respect to what is considered appropriate for him to say. And of course, he believes that like gay people could get married from a legal standpoint, but like he has a moral issue with it or something.
Views on Dave Rubin's marriage are of no consequence to public policy in any way whatsoever.
Right. But I agree with you on that, and I don't think it should be a part of public policy, and I think people should absolutely be allowed to marry and divorce and do whatever the fuck they want to do, no matter who it is. But why do you care? Like, as a person who's a rational thinker, it's pretty clear that people are gay. And I don't really think that this is a decision they make in terms of like, I'm going to make a clear choice to defy God and be gay. I think they're just gay.
Well, again, I think that's a conflation.
And I don't think it's everyone.
It's a conflation of identity and drive with activity, which is something that religion fundamentally rejects.
Yeah, in 2019, Ben's take basically, I remember because I remember covering this, and at the time people were like, Ben's not homophobic, dude, you're wrong. In 2019, Ben's rational thinker ass was saying, if you're gay and you want to be Jewish, you have to marry a woman. Just, control your urges. That was his rational and nice take.
Okay.
Right. So religion fundamentally rejects the idea that you are driven to do something. Therefore,
Right.
It is your identity. Therefore, you get to participate in a behavior. That's a chain of thinking that religion
So
does not
in religion,
accept.
if a man is gay, in your religion,
Yes.
if a man is gay and they're in love with another man, they should just squash those thoughts and find a woman.
Well, ideally, they would be honest with the woman they marry, so they're not like messing up the woman.
But they would want to go and get a
Ideally,
woman.
you would still get married and have children in a heterosexual relationship. If you're not up to that, then you wouldn't get married at all.
When you describe this to a gay man, they will tell you,
I love his ideal, dude. His ideal is like, you're still supposed to fuck women over. You're supposed to fuck yourself over and chain yourself to the notion of holy matrimony and a lifetime of like torture, pretty much, where you can't fucking be yourself. That's so sick. Thanks, Ben.
imagine Ben Shapiro.
Just be honest
Someone
with your
said
wife,
to
though.
you should stop being with your beautiful wife and you need to now marry a man because this is what God wants you to do. So you're going to have to shtup this man and he's going to shtup.
This would have been pretty funny. It was like, Ben was like, actually, I did that. I wanted to have juicy sex with men.
You. And because this is how the rules are set up.
Yeah, so far this
But
sounds pretty terrible. Sure.
Right. Well, this is how it sounds to gay folks when you're telling them they have to find a woman. They're like, I like
well,
dudes.
I'm not saying you have to find a woman. I'm saying
But
you
that's
can't. Well, I'm saying you can't do X, right? I'm not saying you must
but
find a
say
woman. But
can't. But by whose determination?
if you decide to participate in this religion,
Right.
then there is a buy-in to the precepts of the religion.
And the buy-in is you can't be gay.
Well, no, the buy-in is that you can have whatever sexual orientation you please, but there's certain activity you can't participate in.
So you can be gay, but you can't have gay sex.
Correct. That's that. By the way, that's what the Bible. I mean, if we want to go direct to the text of the
Right.
Bible, it's what the Bible actually says, right? I mean, even the parts of the Bible that people really hate,
Mm-hmm.
those parts say that a man shall not lie with a man. It doesn't say a man can't be attracted to another man.
That's Old Testament, right? Isn't it?
That's right. That's our stuff, right? New
Yeah.
Testament. It gets a little harsher in the New Testament in some places, Romans, Corinthians.
Yeah.
But in any case, again, when it comes to this, is what I'm puzzled by is the idea that this is a unique area of human behavior that religion is supposed to treat differently. Meaning, religion treats virtually every human activity like this. Sin is a failure to abide by a covenant, right? That's the definition of sin, right? When you commit a sin in Judaism, and Avera in Judaism, what you are doing is failing to do a mitzvah, which is a commandment. You're violating a commandment. Well, there are lots of commandments that go directly against what people are driven to do. Just because the drive is stronger does not make it more morally non-culpable to violate that commandment.
So weird because, like, Ben, we know picks and chooses the Torah because, as one of the most prominent Jews in America, he should be outraged that the American government is trying to violate the religious liberties of Jews by not allowing Jewish women to get abortions. And yet, for some reason, this fucking cuck refuses to talk about that aspect in Judaism. I wonder why. I wonder why he's picking and choosing. Do you guys have any idea? Maybe it's the same exact concept behind why he claims that he doesn't care about the legality. He's like, it's fine, you can do it, whatever. I'm not a theocratic fascist. And yet is basically doing the theocratic fascism now, advocating for that theocratic fascism now, because he thinks that this is a viable winning strategy, which I think he's wrong on, for the record. But it doesn't even matter because, like, the Supreme Court could technically undermine said civil liberties. Well, not for this one because now it has congressional approval, so good luck unwinding that. But, it's very strange that he plays fast and loose with, like, what his true perspective is.
One hand and bizarre chaos on the other. It's almost an anarchic tyranny. Like on the very local level, it's anarchy because you don't have any intermediate institutions. And on the national level, it's tyranny to enforce the anarchy, to obliterate all of those intermediate institutions. That is really what this is about. Again, this is why he keeps saying this is a first step. So Joe Biden says, by the way, there is nothing more decent, more dignified, or more American than two dudes getting married or two ladies getting married and forcing people of traditional bent to bow to their whims.
When a person can be married in the morning and thrown out of a restaurant for being gay in the afternoon, this is still wrong. Wrong. And that's why the people you heard speak today continue to fight to pass the Equality Act.
Okay, the Equality Act goes way further than what exactly was in the same-sex marriage bill. The Equality Act basically obliterates all individual rights in the name of the government telling you that you have to abide by Joe Biden's view of same-sex marriage or gender identity or sexual orientation. By the way, this is...
Like, ideology aside, conservatives are so, like, they're so annoying. Like, even if we for a second forget about, like, the impact, like the human impact of like following through on their policy proposals are, like with respect to undermining civil liberties and stuff, their entire worldview revolves around being a nuisance. Like, I can't be happy if someone else out there is being happy. It's like such a weird complaint, you know what I mean? And even if you were to flip the script and be like, well, liberals do that too, it's like, well, okay, what is giving you happiness? Being racist to fucking marginalized communities? Because like then you're again, you are a piece of shit, you know? It's like it's so weird that even if you look at this like weird, arbitrary, incomplete left-right dichotomy, it's always like people on supposedly on the left or ostensibly on the left, like they're looking to open up more civil liberties and rights for marginalized communities, and then people who are ostensibly on the right, or those who call themselves centrists but are actually on the right, their entire worldview revolves around like, you're giving them civil liberties. That's hurting me. That's hurting me. It's like, why? Why do you care? It's not like they're coming over to suck your dick, dude. Nobody wants that, okay? Your wife doesn't even want to suck your cock, Ben. Like, why? Why is that? Why is this? Why is endlessly pestering people who just want to live their lives the way of the right? Like, why is that every piece of, like, tangible legislative goal that they have? It's so strange. When gay people get married, that doesn't mean straight people are now not allowed to get married, okay? No one's doing that, okay? The left is not the same as the right. It's so strange that they do the same thing with abortion. It's like, if someone has the capacity to get this medical procedure, an abortion, that doesn't mean women who don't want to get an abortion are going to be forced at gunpoint to get an abortion. And yet they make it seem like that is the case. It's like, oh, well, someone's out there getting an abortion. That means, my wife is going to be forced at gunpoint to get an abortion. Someone's out there getting gay married. That means these homosexuals are going to come suck my cock too. I'm going to get gay married now, hypothetically. It's like, no, it's just other people's shit. Why are you so bent? Even when you like remove the policy and the human consequences of said policy, and you just look at it as like a negative rule or a positive one, it's like everything that conservatives and the conservative worldview revolves around is always like, well, you're doing violence to me by, doing whatever the fuck you want to do. When it's like, no, they're not. No, they're not.